Hey, everybody, it's Bill from SITREP Podcast, and I'm coming to you live with a prelude to war. It is January 2025, and as you know, January holds a special place in my heart due to some battles that happened in 1879 in South Africa and what was known as Zululand at the time. So we are going to look at what we are going to do for a battle. Normally, I have done Rorke's Drift. Historically, we've done it several times, but I am going to approach a different battle. This is the battle that led up to the events at Rorke's Drift. So we are going to look at the Battle of Isandlwana, and we are going to be playing it versus Victoria Cross 2. So I do have Victoria Cross 2 here with me, right here, and I will show you the battlefield. It is a board game, if you will, board war game, and however, you can use miniatures with it. It is designed for a certain set of miniatures. I backed Victoria Cross 2 in the Kickstarter years ago, and part of that was a invitation to get the full-on miniatures for the Battle of Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift. So I will show you the board first, and then we'll get into the miniatures. So let me close out this screen here. And, oops, wrong one. Bring this back here just for a second, and go to this, and close that out. There we go. Come on, you can hide it now. It doesn't want to hide. So remove. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so the first thing to show you is Victoria Cross 2. So this is a game by Worthington Games. It is a board game. I'm going to remove the sleeve. And traditionally, it has 2 map boards and then the pieces over here. And I'm going to go to the overhead camera, and let me zoom out on this one first before I bring you in. And I'm going to cut to it. There we go. So as you can see, this is Victoria Cross 2 by Worthington Games. And when you open it, nice box art, by the way. This is the Battle of Isandlwana here. That's a scene from that battle. This is the mountain right back here. This is Rorke's Drift on the front, that pretty much everybody knows. And then the Battle of Isandlwana as in the inside cover. Worthington Games does really nice packaging and everything. So you get the rule books, you get the counter sheets for turns, and all that good stuff. Here's Rorke's Drift. Here's Isandlwana. Track turns, Zulu strength points, victory track for the Zulus, the rules, and you get the Isandlwana rules and fire charts here. More importantly, what we want to look at is the battlefield itself. And I'll pull this out. And then those are all the counters. So if you want to play it straight out of the box, you have all the counters. You have counters for the 24th foot. You have, and they're color coded based on whether you're playing Rorke's Drift or Isandlwana. The blue side is Isandlwana. The red side is Rorke's Drift, because you can see these are one-on-ones versus companies. So obviously Isandlwana, there were 1,500 men that lost their lives, and at Rorke's Drift, you had about 155 British troops versus 4,000 Zulus. So that's how you get the scale there. Here is the map board. And you can see it's bet into zones, and let me bring it up. It's going to be kind of big. I don't think I can get it all in the camera at once, because it is pretty big. But as you can see, I'll rotate it around for you. Hopefully I won't change any settings as I move this over to all the controls, but you can see this is the map board, and then you play by zone, and it tells you what goes in these zones, and Here's the main encampment over here. This is where everybody sets up, the wagons and everything here. And where the Zulus come in, you can see by their different setup points. And they just keep coming. They just keep coming. And it depends on how long you can hold out. So this is how we're going to play it, because it allows you to play it this way. And just for your curiosity, if you are curious, on the other side, oops, see, I told you I'd hit a key, is Rorke's Drift. Shows you the buildings, the melee bags, the defenses. And it's just very well made board. Very well made board. Now let's get to the good stuff. So if you decide you want to go into actual kind of like miniatures, you can use a company called Wofun Miniatures. And they come in this very nice box. Now, I've already punched them out of the acrylic sheets and built the terrain. For the Rorke's Drift set battle in Victoria Cross 2, you can actually order a miniature Rorke's Drift set. So I'll open this up and I'll show you. So you do get MDF terrain. And I'll move this off to the side so you can see. So here is the cattle corral, if you will, for Rorke's Drift. Set that over here. Here you get the storehouse, and it's full color painted. I didn't have to paint nothing. It prints this way. And then here's the redoubt, the final last stand, if you will. Here is one of the roofs. I'm not sure. No, that's some of the roofs came apart in pieces, but this is essentially what it looks like with the roof on, just for storage purposes. Everything again is pre-printed, full color, MDF, real nice thick MDF, so it's not fragile per se. So you have the storehouse, and then you have the hospital, and then inside the hospital you have zones as well, where you can fight out the battles that happen within the hospital. So as you can see, it's very nice. Then you have the melee bag walls that you would build the defenses with. So you got the biscuit tins and the melee bag walls. Okay, so let me move this stuff off to the side so we can concentrate on what we're going to be doing when it comes to Isandlwana. So for those that don't know, in January 21st of 1879, there was a British incursion or invasion, depending how you want to look at it, into Zululand. They believed, based on politics at the time, that the Zulus needed to come under control of the British government and the Queen Victoria, and they were going to go in there and preemptively strike and create some compliance. So they crossed over the river and entered Zululand, and they set up a point at Rorke's Drift, and then they moved approximately 7 to 10 miles down the road to Isandlwana, set up their base camp for the main army under Lord Chelmsford. And then Lord Chelmsford was told that there were sightings of Zulus, and he took a portion of his army. He learned nothing from Custer. If you remember from the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, Custer divided his forces, and he took his portion of the force and went on to the main body, thinking it was only a small Indian village, and it turned out to be thousands of Indians from the Sioux Nation, the Cheyenne, and among others. And he was surrounded and wiped out. So the British learned nothing from the American failure of 1876 at the Battle of Little Bighorn. So Chelmsford took a portion of his force and continued forward to see if he could engage the enemy and determine actual strength. And in the meantime, Chetsuayo And the other leaders of the Zulu Nation had their forces go into what they call the Horns of the Buffalo, and they probed the defenses of Isandlwana and then hit them hard and enveloped them in the Horns of the Buffalo. So you have the main force, and then you have the two wings, and the wings envelop and crush who's ever in the middle of it. So about 1,500 men lost their lives at Isandlwana. I don't remember the exact count, but it's pretty close to that. I'll bring up the chat here. And here we go. Jim says, awesome. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jim. And I will overlay that, and I'll bring up big screen because I don't have to do anything else right now. So, as everybody knows, I am a huge fan of this battle. I've always been one that's interested in when you have a force, a much smaller force, outnumbered by a much larger force. Obviously, in a lot of the battles, the odds are not in the smaller force's favor, and they tend to lose. However, Rorke's Drift was an anomaly, and 155 men withstood the attack of 4,000 Zulus. They had some luck on their side. I'm not going to not say they didn't. If there had been some more attacks the following day of January 22nd, I don't think Rorke's Drift would have been able to hold out much longer. They were down to almost no ammunition, and it would have ended up with a Zulu victory. Thankfully, the Zulus withdrew. They could not withstand the losses they were taking and decided to withdraw. All right, so let's look at some miniatures. So I'm going to look at some Natal Cavalry, and I'm going to go to the small cam. Let me make sure I can get that in there. I'm going to zoom in, so bear with me a second, guys. There you are. So you can see it's acrylic, but it's printed on. So here's the Natal Cavalry. And the nice thing is it's also done on the backside. So it's not like you're just printed on one side and you have a clear gray back like some acrylic minis are. So, oops, back in the focus here. So very well detailed. I guess they have some pretty famous war artists creating these miniatures. So also, and then it gives you the strength of right here on the base. So the bases are included. I think you can order them without bases, but for this version, bases are included because you needed the points. So that's Natal Cavalry. We have an Impi, Zulu Impi. Happy Sunday, Jen. So we have Zulus here. You can see by their shields. I think these are unmarried these are married. I believe these are married because I don't see fancy headdresses. Usually the unmarried had fancier headdresses because they were trying to impress the ladies, if you will. And then the back side. And then their point stand. So this is worth 10 points of unit. So this is how you did. Yes, John, I agree. No painting needed. This is why I start leaning towards these. You literally punch them out, and now there are people who will take black marker and they will color in the clear acrylic to finish it off, to give it a finished look, as they call it. But right out of the box, as long as you have the stands, and they'll block stands. These stands, like I said, are purposely built for Victoria Cross 2 because you need the points for the rule set. But if you have some of the other sets, whether that's like Napoleonics or any of the Ancients, anything like that, they're just basic MDF stands. But yeah, there's some MPs. And here's sorry guys, the water barrel that came in, MDF. This is for Rorke's Drift. That's one of the points. Turn token, if you will. And then you have the British victory point counter, and if it's a Zulu, same thing. All right, let's see if we can find another. Here's another Zulu Impi. This is a 10 points. Let's see if I can get out of the way here. You know what? I'm just going to lay it down, see if it'll focus in on it. It does. Okay. So, as you can see, And you can see the different shields. So if you look at the different combinations, that tells you what unit of Zulus they came from. Because there was different factions, if you will. So, yeah. And like I said, they are fully painted, printed, however you want to put it, on both sides. So if you're a player and you had your guys stacked, back here, and you're looking from the rear, you would see that instead of grayed out plastic. So it helps with the visual representation. Let's look at some other ones here. That's the same impies. But just real quick, this is the box of stuff already punched out. So there's a lot in there. We're going to look at some. This is actual British cavalry here. Very well done. I'm going to see if I can find Coghill, one of the recipients of the Victoria Cross for trying to save the colors. He's in here somewhere. You have a stand of British troops. And get them to focus. Not sure why they're not focusing. Well, there we go. 2 points. Very well done. And let's see what else I got here. More same Zulu impies. That's the fire token for the hospital. You put that on the hospital when it goes under fire. Wagons. Let's see, is this the same Zulu? Oh, here's a different Zulu impy. So again, the color of the shield determined the company battalion in our equivalency for Zulus. So each shield color represented a different group of Zulus. Are these married? I don't know if they really deciphered anything here. Now, here's an interesting one. These guys here, can anybody tell me what those are by the color of their uniforms? Those are Royal Artillery. Or they could also represent Royal Navy. Believe it or not, there was actual naval troops with the Zulu campaign. But I believe these are Royal Artillery because they have the white helmets. I believe the Navy had dark helmets, pith helmets. So these are actually Royal Artillery. And I will find an artillery piece right here. Oh, it's missing its gun. Well, there's should be pieces in here with a gun. And it looks like it fell off. Here it is. Let me put that back on there. But everything's MDF. So, sorry guys. It just misaligned. But basically, this is a Royal Artillery piece they had there. If I can get it into focus. With their troops. To do so you have Royal Artillery because those were present at Isandlwana. You have another stand of British troops. So you're kneeling. So you'd have two ranks of troops. So let me use this as an example. So you have a standing rank and you have a kneeling rank, right? And then a lot of times what happened was they would say front rank fire, and then they would fire, then rear rank fire. So they would fire over their head. So they would alternate rank until they were ordered to free fire. And that's how they did it. And then when they did retreat, if they had to withdraw, front rank would fire. They would move through the standing rank, reset. So they come through, reset. I'll move it back so you can see better. And then the current rear rank would fire, move back through the front rank. They would fire, back, front, and that's how they did an orderly withdrawal. Unfortunately, what happened in Isandlwana is you had all these Zulus coming and engaging in mass the British troops. So they overwhelmed them, based on their current tactics, because they had picket lines. So you would have your firing ranks, and I'm going to get them on top of this here. And then they would have a picket that would show the effective range of the rifle as the Martini Henry rifle. And when the Zulus approached, that's when they would start firing. But the problem with their tactic was the rifle, it was a breech loading rifle, and they could pretty much reload and fire as quickly. But when you're in an ordered firing situation where you have your sergeant, whether it's your color sergeant, your platoon sergeant, whatever, ordering, and they got to the point where they ordered free fire and then, fire at will. And by that time, there was just so many targets. And then the other problem is, and they highlight this in the movie, is that the British Army at the time had a supply problem. Not so much they didn't have supplies. They had a ton of supplies, but they were so regimented in how they issued ammunition and other things. When this battle was going on and they're being overrun by thousands of Zulus and they're running low on ammunition so quickly, and they have their orderlies or their drummers, which are usually young men, 12 to 17 years of age, running to go get ammunition, they would run to the nearest supply point. And if it wasn't their company or battalion or regiment or whatever, they were refused ammunition because you have to go to your own supply point. And then on top of it, the way the ammo was stored and packaged, you had to have a special key to open it. And if you didn't have that key, or there's only one key, then it slowed down issuing of the ammunition. So that's why you see at one point in the movie Zulu Dawn, where they're taking their bayonets and prying open the cans of ammunition, trying to get ammo to whoever can take it. That was true. I mean, they dramatized it for TV for the movie, but it was true just based on how the British did supplies and issuing. Personally, once you saw a sea of Zulus coming at you, they should have cracked open every can of ammo and had it ready to just toss out, or take cans to each battle group, to each line of troops, and just have it there. Instead of having the orderlies run back and forth, the orderlies should have just come and got a case of ammo, brought it to their firing line so they could just kept going there. And the other problem was, let me bring out the map real quick. I want to show you something. Get it. Come on, come out now. Of course. But what happened was, I can get it, and of course we're on the wrong side. But in the map, I can get it to come up. Let's see here. So basically, where the camp was, here, where's the camp? Right here. Where the camp was in this area, they had all the groups of troops spread out. So you had a group here, you had a group here, you had another group. They were so spread out, they could not protect the territory that they had. If they had consolidated the troops, they might have had a better chance of defending off the enemy. Now, part of that, they try and blame. Let me find my rule set here. I might have gotten knocked off the table. I did knock some stuff off. All right. So he had Colonel Pauline. He's dictated right here, and he has a miniature in the box. he was put in charge of the defense of the camp at Isandlwana. Um, they made him the scapegoat of the defeat, and I don't think that's really fair per se. I think he was given a raw deal, and so it's just bad. It's just terrible. I mean, you have. I'm trying to find Coghill in them, and they're in here somewhere. Oh, we have. Show you these guys. You have board troops. These are, native Natels. These are not the police. Where were they? These are Natal police, right here. The blue uniforms. I was an organized unit in Natal at the time. They called them the Natal police. These are just civilians. The Natal Rangers, as some of them were called. They were there because they were enemies to the Zulus, hence why they were fighting with the British at the time. Later, they would fight against the British. Oh. Nice thing is, some of the unit stands actually have what company is. So this is the 1st to the 24th Foot, Company F. I wish all the stands were like that, but unfortunately they're not. Where are you guys? So throughout here, I mean, you have a ton of miniatures. So more Natal police here. So there are a ton of miniatures in this box. And like Jim mentioned, I wonder if they have a figure for Private Hook. I'll make a soldier yet a few hooky. Unfortunately, they don't individualize them. I think they have one for Shard and Bromhead. But I don't, outside of that, I'd have to go through that. When we do the actual battle, I'll have all the minis out and we'll highlight who's who. Like here are some of the hospital troops. So if you want to say one of those is hooky, you could. As you can see, that they're not in uniform, and one's got a banjo overhead, so those are set up in the hospital. That's what that's for. Again, we got more here. So you could do that. And like I said, you get all the Zulus you want. And all that good stuff. Like I said, here are the ones. These are for Isandlwana. So these sets here. So like here you have company. Here, let me turn it so it's not upside down for you all. Company C of the 1st to the 24th. So those are the sets for Isandlwana. That's how you know some of these are Isandlwana ones, and how some of them are for. Yeah, I'm trying to find it because I believe Coghill stand. He is actually carrying the flag. Yes. Here. Well, here's the colors. So here's Colonel Pauline. So you can see it's identified as Colonel Pauline. And then there's his stand. So, really interesting thing for you guys who might be aware. Private Hook was nothing like he was in the movie. He was actually a very good soldier. In my readings and research, I learned that when the movie Zulu came out and it was premiered, family members of Private Hook went to the premiere and actually walked out because of the way they depicted Hook in the movie. He was actually a very good soldier. I think he stayed in for years, was an exemplary soldier. So I don't know why they did what they did with him in the movie. I think it was just for dramatic effect more than anything, licensing. But it's not how the real Hook was. But, well, unfortunately, he'll always be remembered as that goof off in the movie who turns around at the end and saves people. I think they were just looking for somebody to show redeeming qualities under pressure, and he happened to be it because he did win the Victoria Cross. So, there is that. Oh, where are you, Coghill? He's in here somewhere. I know he is. Well, we'll find him on the when we go to the battle. But there are a ton of minis in this box, so you can see all the stands. And the thing is, as the Zulu stand gets wiped out, it doesn't go off the board. It just gets recycled somewhere else to simulate the thousands and thousands of Zulus that were present at the battle. So, you got your infantry here. It is not Coghill, because they're in here somewhere. And that's the only unfortunate thing is you got this really nice box that everything comes in when it's stacked. Even give you some bad guy, or they give you some wound markers, casualty markers, if you will. You get some casualty figures. Just stands and stands of troops. So you can mark your troops on the board. And all kinds of little chits and tokens. But here's another stand of a different Zulu unit. Right there. You can see they have black shields versus the red-white shields and the solid orange shields. So the different impies are represented. Got it. Oops, let me bring those over. Get him out of the way. So you got black and white shields. So they did, whoever created this set did a really good job of research and determining what's pretty accurate as far as uniforms and impy colors and all that. So that's where we're at with that. So this whole set, I want to say the whole set was roughly $100-ish for the whole set here. If I had my phone with me, I'd check it for you, but I don't. But these come from Wofun Miniatures, and there, my head's all screwed up. Boy, I can't get straight for nothing today. An excellent option when you want to put mass figures on a battle, and you don't want to paint them, you want to assemble them. You just want to put them on the board, and they look good, and they easily get stored away. The whole battle set of Isandlwana and Rourke's Drift goes in one box. It's all right there. Beautifully colored, painted miniatures. Here's Pauline in the colors. Somewhere in here is Coghill. I will find him because they try and save the colors at some point. And then, like I said, you've got all the units. You got Colonel Durnford in here somewhere. He was played in the movie by Burt Lancaster. He's the one that had the injured arm, was in the Wadi, the ravine with his troops. They got overrun, and he got shot off the wagon, and he's the one that told one of his troops to ride and let the people know what was going on and all that stuff in the movie. A dramatic part. I don't know if that really happened in the real battle, but it's very dramatic, and does a thing. So yeah, for Rourke's Drift, you get all the terrain in the set. You get the houses. So, if you've watched this before, we have done Rourke's Drift at 28mm scale. Using the Horns of Buffalo set from Warlord Games, and we printed 400 miniatures. And like I said, it all fits in one box. Bada bing, bada boom. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick peek into what's coming up here in a couple of weeks for the anniversary of Isandlwana. I believe this is going to be the 126th anniversary of this battle. there's so much politics to go in behind this. Lorne Chelmsford should have been held responsible, but somehow he comes out smelling like roses and goes on, and gets accolades for other things. And at the end of the day, he should be responsible. And poor Colonel Pauline was made the scapegoat, and it was all his fault. And it's just not right, But that's the military for you. Somebody's got to be the scapegoat, and usually it's not the highest guy in the command. Thank you. You like my Nakatomi Plaza? I know it's past the holidays now, but it's a little cold here. We're under a winter weather advisory for those who don't know. We're in Tennessee, and right on the Kentucky border. And Kentucky has snow. We have friends that live in Kentucky, and they send us pictures of their house, and they have snow. We're expecting some icy rain, possibly some snow tonight, which will make things a nightmare here, because a lot of people here don't really feel comfortable driving in that kind of weather. I'm from Chicago, so whatever. But yeah. But guys, if you really want to get into miniatures and mass battles, check out Wofun. Like I said, you get sheets of the miniatures, you punch them out, put them on the bases, and if you want to get fancy, you can take the MDF bases and you can flock them, whatever you want to make it look a little fancier. A lot of people do that, and I think they're amazing. I really do. And like I said, we're this set. We got MDF terrain. They do make other terrain for other eras. I've seen stuff for the Napoleonics and whatnot. So, and they make miniatures in 18 mil, 28 mil, and I think 10 mil, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I know at least 18 and 28 mil they make miniatures. So if you want to do Napoleonics in 28 mil, and you don't want to sit there and paint thousands and thousands and thousands of Napoleonic miniatures, I still have several stands of Napoleonic miniatures sitting on the paint table. I've run out of room on my paint table. Check out Wofun. These guys are awesome. So Chris Swimmer, one of the guys on the show, put me onto these people, and I got like he said it, and then like the next day I got a flyer from Worthington Games, the people that make Victorious Cross too, and said, hey, we have a special set you can get to complement our game, and it's from Wofun Miniatures. So I was like, oh, no kidding. So like I said, their artwork is amazing. So yeah, check out Victoria Cross if you're into this kind of stuff. If you want to play as just a standard board game, everything you need is right here, because it's just helps if I don't put it upside down for you. You have all the pieces right here. If you want to take it to a second dimension, get the Wofun pieces, and get the acrylics. I used to make fun of some people with acrylics, but then I look at these are high quality. I mean, obviously you are paying a premium for these miniatures, and they're well made. They're not flimsy plastic. Helps if I put the box on right. And then there you go. So Victoria Cross 2, Rorke's Drift, and the Battle of Isandlwana. So the Battle of Isandlwana will be coming to you soon on a Sunday program. So stay tuned for more, and we hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share this video. Jim's got some programming come up later in the month, I believe, as well. He just played another Battle of the Bulge game yesterday. He sent me some pictures. I think he's posted some on our Discord channel of the 82nd. Believe it or not, the 82nd was at the Battle of the Bulge. I know the 101st gets all the love and glory, but the 82nd was there. And at one point, I'm going to be honest with you, the 82nd had a more famous line than the Nuts line. But it's not really touted. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but when the 82nd was holding out, and the Patton's Army, the 3rd Armor, I think it is, when they came up and said, we're here to relieve you, and they're like, we don't need you. I don't remember the exact quote. Jim probably knows it, but basically the 82nd told the armor guys to go pound sand, and that we didn't need you. So it's something like relieved hell or some shit like that, but it's in there. The 82nd was actually had a big part in the Battle of Bulge. They just don't get the love like the 101st does, which is fine. The Screaming Chickens need some love. The 82nd had more combat jumps in World War II than they did. The 82nd was the 1st Airborne Division. The 82nd actually created the test platoon down at Fort Benning. the 82nd is the fathers of the paratroopers for the American. Um, so for the American Army. Jim says, "Oh hell yeah, the 82nd was all over the northern shoulder of that battle, which is in some ways more important than Bastogne." Uh, yeah, I mean, you think about where they could have punched through and outflanked and whatever. Everybody had a part in the battle. We did the best we could with what happened at the time, and did what we had to do. It's just that sometimes I get a little raw when it's all about the 101st. It's not all about the 101st. It wasn't like the 101st was the only people at the Battle of the Bulge. There were regular infantry there that did an amazing job holding the line. Um, you know, there were some that got whacked right away and were pushed back, but then held and then they had to be relieved. And the 101st comes in to relieve, and Jim can go much more into detail than I can. Um, but as a former member of the 82nd Airborne, it was taught into us, the pride of it. That's why our drop zones are named what they are. We have Sicily drop zone, we have St. Mary Glees, we have all those drop zones named after, our jumps, our combat jumps. So, but anyways, getting back to this, I could go on a tangent about that, but I'll leave that to Jim. He really can give you a really good in-depth about other units outside of the 101st. Wofun miniatures. If you really like it, I suggest you look into them. They're great miniatures. And with that, guys, thank you very much for joining me on this Sunday for this live broadcast of Victoria Cross 2, the Battle of Isandlwana, and a Prelude to War. And with that, I am going to be out of here. I hope you all enjoyed this and all that's good stuff. And thank you very much. We appreciate everything you all do. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you.